networker is like a great interviewer.
I'm huge on authenticity, guys. It's a big part of my message.
Claim your local listings and don't get caught paying someone for your local listing.
If you want to be successful, you got to do 6 things 1,000 times, not 1,000 things 6 times.
And when in doubt, give to other people and don't expect anything in return. But in giving to other people and helping them, it almost always comes back.
It's using the power of partnership, creating trusted partner networks to work with you to make your company be an offer more than just you.
They've done 90% of the work. It's your job to do the last 10% to meet them in the middle.
Don't let the fear of losing be greater than the excitement of winning.
All right, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Ask Valor Masterminds podcast, brought to you by Advanced Septic Services. My name is Galen.
Good morning, I'm Joe.
We're coming at you virtually from the BD local studios in Tacoma, Washington. So thanks for tuning in. For our new listeners and viewers, Joe, out there, can you tell everyone how our podcast came to be?
Sure. So it first started out as a Facebook group page where the point was to bring different business owners together to kind of just communicate with one another, ask questions, share tips about business. And from that, it kind of just turned into the idea of having a podcast to where we can bring on different guest speakers a couple times a month to talk about different topics, some form or fashion, how it relates to business. So today, I'm super excited to have on Mack Griffin. For today, he's going to be talking about the importance of voiceover in video. So that's a new topic to us, and it's something that I don't think has been addressed yet, correct?
None, not yet. So we're really excited to see how the voice could almost help a brand, help a company. So Joe, before we go any further, give a formal introduction of Mr. Griffin, please.
Sure. So after being medically retired from the U.S. Army, Mack decided to go back to school and get a degree in supply chain management. However, life had a different plan for him, and he left college to work full-time and take care of his family. And then 2 years ago, someone told Mack to stop doing things that leave him unhappy at the end of the day. So while working a full-time manufacturing job, Mack began to redevelop his acting skills and start training his voice again to become a voiceover actor. After buying everything he needed for a home studio, and creating professional demo reels, Matt began to audition for various projects and market himself to both local and national businesses. Over time, he began to build his portfolio and create a bond with his clients all over the world. Today, Mack is a full-time voiceover actor who uses his voice and a network of creative specialists to help grow businesses and thrive in a digital world. So everyone, please welcome Mack.
Hello. Thank you for bringing me in. I appreciate that.
So Matt, two things I want to say. So first of all, the day we filmed this is before Veterans Day. And Joe, you being an Army veteran yourself, want to wish you guys happy Veterans Day. Second, your name. So we call you Mack, but your birth name is Maccabee. And then I had found on Wikipedia, who knows if you could trust it, that's why I'm bringing it up now, Aramaic for the hammer in recognition of Judah's ferocity in battle. So be gentle on us today, but welcome to the show. So,
where is my hammer? Where is it's probably in the other room. It's okay.
So I'm curious, I jumped on your website a little bit before, and there's a project called Camouflage. Can you let our audience know what Camouflage is?
Yes, Camouflage was an animated short film that I was wonderful. I loved so much. It was an animated short film that I worked with a company called Moves Production in Amsterdam, and it is a sci-fi social animation about an alien who is not only trying to blend in as a human in a world where aliens are very much hunted around, but it's also a alien who is a female pretending to be a male. So there's a lot of like smaller parts into it, but it really explains how a lot of people have to not are afraid to be themselves.
Gotcha.
And when they are themselves, sometimes they are very much presented in a light that's not true. My character, his name was Amof, was a very gentle person, very protective, but yet people saw him as very weak, very very inverted. And just because of the fact, she had to put a lot of makeup on just to look somewhat human. So it's a really good film that a lot of people should see, even if you don't really think about aliens and
Mhm.
sci-fi or anything like that. But it's really got a great story with it, and that's the reason why I did it. The other thing great about it is that it came out in April for the first time at the Image Film Festival, and where was it? I can't remember specifically where it was located at. In Holland. Sorry, Holland. But it's been going across Europe, and it's been doing really good. And it's currently, this month, it's going to be going to Spain to one of the film festivals. I'm not even going to try to pronunciate the actual name of it. I will destroy it. And then it'll be actually next month going to Los Angeles to be presenting it for the very first time in the US. So I'm very excited, very excited.
Well,
they've been getting a lot of nominations and everything about it. So
congratulations on that. So before we move forward, this part of the podcast, we like to give a quick takeaway on our previous guests. So last episode, we had Casey Jaycox on, who is a part of the Limitless Minds team. He's the author of Win the Relationship, Not the Deal. Also has a podcast, the Quarterback Dadcast, which Joe and I were on. But Joe, what was one of your main takeaways briefly when Casey was on our last episode?
Sure. So one of the things is, how do you win a person while still losing a deal? So following up with the clients that you lose before the other company does. So, and asking them, how you can help them in the future. And that just goes to show that you truly care about them and their business, and you're not just in it, to close another deal.
And one of the takeaways I had was he starts off his bio as being like a curious optimist, right? A storyteller. But the optimist part is listen to learn versus listen to persuade. So you actually have to listen to people, not with what you have in mind, but with the customer. So going with what Joe said, you can still listen to someone even though you lose and still gain their respect and still have a relationship. So check that out, guys. Download it or view it on YouTube. So back to Mack, Gentle with a Hammer. We asked 3 questions of all our guests. So Joe, why don't you take it away and ask Mack the first question?
Sure, Mac. What are some early lessons learned as an entrepreneur?
What are some? I would definitely say it takes time. You have to network yourself and market yourself a lot. No one's going to know who you are unless you tell them. And unless you meet the right people, you are never really going to honestly see yourself as, they're not going to see you as well as you want them to. Right. And you have to also remember is that you are the spokesperson for what you do. So you have to be very passionate about it, or you're not going to get very far. And that's something I've learned very much during the time that I've been transitioning from freelance to business owners, that as long as you are very passionate about it, passion is one thing, but if you can't communicate it properly, you're not going to get the people to not just be those tire kickers.
Right.
Yeah.
Great stuff. So what is the best piece of advice that you've been given?
The best advice that I've always been given was very simple, is no matter how many times you do it, you're still learning. The fact that that statement of after like 10,000 hours of doing something that makes you a master. No. If whatever your craft is, whatever your business is about, whatever your service, whatever your product, whatever the case may be, it's a lifetime experience. It's a lifetime of learning. And the time that you state, oh, I don't have to learn anymore, you've just destroyed your whole legacy, your whole outcome to life. Because I've worked with people and I've known people that have went into their 90s saying, I've seen everything, I've done everything, and yet I'm still learning something new.
Right.
Great stuff.
Nice. So then, because we're a marketing company, why is marketing important?
Marketing is important because like I said before, no matter how passionate you are about something, if you don't get it to the right people, to the right audience, it's not going to go anywhere. You're not going to succeed. And you have to understand that marketing is something that even if you think you found the perfect formula, that formula is going to change in like 2 hours.
Right.
Or within the next 30 seconds. Oh, there's something new that just came out technology wise. Guess what? Everything you just did is now obsolete. So you have to adapt. So adapting with your marketing plan is always great thing to do. Real quick, one of the things you said earlier about your guest previous and what they were saying, I had a gentleman always tell me two things that you always ask your clients. One, what is the next big thing within your industry? And two, how are you preparing to leverage that next big thing to benefit you and your business? And to me, that's something that'll always keep your marketing ideas coming around. Like, okay, I have to continuously research about my industry.
Right.
And that way you can succeed because you're always, by the time that next big thing shows up, you already know what's going on. You already know how to deal with it because you've already been doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
While someone else right next to you that may have been, the biggest thing since sliced bread, all of a sudden now they didn't look forward. And now they're struggling.
Yeah. One other thing, I thought of something, but our previous guest was emotional watching TV shows and everything. And I don't know, maybe it's some weird universal connection, but he mentioned that even a good Golden Girls episode will make him cry. So your shirt, for those of you watching, you'll see it. If you're listening, you can't see it. Mack's wearing a Golden Girl shirt. So repping 80s sitcoms and everything. So great stuff. But let's transition to our Valor Cares initiative, which is something we're really proud about. Joe, give a quick shout out for our Valor Cares initiative, please.
Absolutely. So we just wanted a way to give back to businesses by giving them something that every business needs as a foundation for their business, which is a website. Creating that online presence, something that represents their company, answers questions, acts as that 24/7 salesperson. And so we now give away, 1 to 2 website builds every single month. Have given away some amazing websites. And so if you're looking for a website, if you need a website for your company and you don't sell products and you're not a multi-level marketing company, then you should apply. You can go to our Ask Valor Masterminds website and look at the Valor Cares page.
Awesome. Thank you. Come to the part of our podcast, our Advanced Septic Pump You Up quote of the day. And I asked Mack for a quote and I'll read it and get his quick thought. Now, faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see. So why did you choose that quote? Well, how does that resonate with you?
One, because of it being my faith. It came from Hebrews 11:1. And I always try to look at that because no matter what we're working on, no matter what we're doing, there's already something that's already on your way. Right. So every time that you feel like nothing's going your way, you're struggling, you're going through some type of storm, you just have to remember that once you get out of that storm and you look back, you're just going to notice that it's a drizzle and that's it. That's all it was. but by the time you turn back around, you've already got your next, whatever that next package from the HPS is, or for
Right.
me, I would say HPS is Heavenly Postal Service, because something comes to you, it's always going to be there. It's going to be there at the right time, the right moment that you needed it. It's never going to be late. It's never going to be too early. So for me, knowing that I have packages already on the way means that I don't have to worry about whether or not I'm going to get another big project or not, or I'm going to get the next small project, because it's already on its way. I just have to wait for the time.
Awesome. Now we come to our Did You Know segment, brought to you by Advanced Septic Services. So this is the part where, being a stats nerd geek, I like to share stats, myths, different things. And there's a couple myths that we want to cover and get what we thought, Joe and I thought, like, this is easy peasy, right? So let's break this down. It's easy to voice act. It's just reading a script. I'm reading something off my script here and it's easy. So true, false, your thoughts, Mac?
It is false. It is not easy being a voice actor, because here's the thing. You have to break it down so simple. It just 2 words: voice and acting. Okay, it's very simple. You may have the voice, you may have a great voice, it's a marketable voice, but if you have no sense of how to act or how to bring those words to life, then you might as well just be just reading, and that's it.
Yeah.
And no one's going to connect with your message. That's why voice acting is such a pinnacle point when it comes to marketing, when it comes to telling stories in general, and just being able to connect with your audience. That's why I always tell people, when people ask me, what is voice acting to you? It is me as an actor creating a personality for your message that connects to your audience on an emotional level. Because if it doesn't connect, no one's going to remember it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if that thing was written by Shakespeare himself. If it doesn't connect to them, they're just going to swipe left, swipe right, up, down, whatever the case may be.
Right. So here's one. Voice actors with a larger social media following are better and get more roles. Obviously, it's a myth. So why is that not true?
Because it doesn't matter how many people follow you. It doesn't matter how popular you are. If you don't have the voice, if you don't have the talent for it, then you're not going to get the project. That's why I always say voice acting is completely different industry when it comes to the acting stage, because of the fact it doesn't matter what you look like, and it doesn't matter where you came from or how many people know you. If you don't have the voice for it and have the passion behind it and know what the message is about, you're not going to get the project. And that's why it's not a competition. Voiceover acting is not a competition. It is about you putting out the best you on whatever your copy is, your script, your transcript is, and doing the best you can. And if someone sees that and they hear it and it's like, oh, that picture goes definitely good with that voice. I want that voice. That's why it's not a competition.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, because I know I've seen, just watching like commercials on TV, obviously there's some big name people who voice different things, right?
Mhm.
Like when I hear William Shatner's voice for like Priceline, that's like ingrained. And then he's Captain Kirk. So it's like an authority figure. Or Dennis Haysbert, right?
Mhm.
Played the president on 24. Like he's a very powerful voice.
Yes.
But on the web, it could be different, right? So it depends.
Yeah.
Not every brand is, that kind of persona, right? So that's where someone like you kind of cater to those clients, right? So
Mhm. Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely. One of the big things I know, I've been watching a lot of TED Ed on YouTube. I love mythology. I love the stories, and there are certain people that read it better, that connect you to the story better, because you get lost in their voice. You get lost in the story with them. than others. Addison Anderson is one of the better ones that I just recently learned, and I love his voice. I love his educational voice compared to if I was putting James Earl Jones to that, it wouldn't work right. It wouldn't work.
Right. Not everyone wants to hear like Darth Vader, right? Or Mufasa, or, you know, whatever it is.
Even though James Earl Jones was one of the greatest voices of all time, that's not his thing.
Right.
And it doesn't work with that. So that's why, again, competition, no.
All right. So this last myth before we transition into the topic and get some tips from Mack. I already have a great sounding voice, so voiceover acting should be easy for me. So break that one down for us, please.
Oh, this one is the one that I love to bring up so much with other people, especially those who really want to get into the industry.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a great voice, but if you don't know how to use that voice, you're not going to go anywhere. That is why going to workshops, getting voice coaches to work with, learning and being inspired by other actors that are close to what you want to do. When you study, that's why I always say this craft is an ever evolving craft, and you have to learn. You inspired from the old and the new. I love things from the 20s, mid 50s, and they had some great voices. I always look at like Richard Diamond and Samuel Spade, and those are the audio programs that I used to I loved listening to. I didn't grow up on them, but it's something that helps me to look at it, and it helps me to be inspired to create other characters, which allows me to get better, which allows me to evolve my voice.
So let's get into it a little more. Today's topic is the importance of voice in video. And I want to read a quote by Lisa Gansky. Mm-hmm. A brand is a voice and a product is a souvenir. So another way to think about it is the concept is that consumers use products, but the brand is what catches their attention, draws them in, sells them, and speaks to them. So when you mentioned it a little bit, the emotional level you're tapping into, it's not for everyone, but there's an importance to it. So talk to us, give me two things of what's important for a voice in video. So like not everyone has access to hire people. So a lot of people probably don't even know, small business owners or entrepreneurs out there don't even know that I could hire just a voice actor. I can't have the person who answers the phone just read this, or, my wife, my cousin. Talk to us about like two things that are really important for someone doing it on their own. Like what are things that they should really focus in on?
First off, understand the message that you're reading. One of the biggest things that we as voice actors do is that we have to analyze the message. So when you can understand your message, then it makes it a lot easier for you to present to other people. I've seen commercials where, the owners themselves wanted to do it, and that's fine. But you have to understand that, one, you have to remember who you're talking to. You have to connect to your audience, because if I'm just reading something off the sheet just like this and there's nothing there, no one's going to hear me. No one's going to want to connect with me on this. It doesn't matter if I have the cure for cancer. No one's going to listen to you.
Right.
Bring your emotions to whatever you're speaking. That's the other thing. You have to connect with the message. Analyzing it, knowing what it's about is one thing, but if you can't connect to it on your own level, how are you expecting other people to connect to it?
So again, the importance of voice and video. There's three words that I found, more the scientific reason, so people could kind of grasp this. So etymology, sound, and syntax. And I'm going to read each of those definitions and then get your thought on it. Just because from what we said, just because you have a great voice, that's not everything. So etymology, applied to the tone of voice, etymology means understanding which words are best suited for particular uses. Mm-hmm. Sound, how words sound when pronounced can play a big role developing a tone of voice, like, like delivery, right? So that's definitely an actor part, not just a reading part. And then syntax. The arrangement of words comes into play when you want to communicate your audience, whether to let them know their time is respected with short staccato sentences or denser phrasing that inspires in them a thought or an idea. So this is the kind of the science behind it, the tech behind it. When you talk about, like, I guess, writing scripts, you've seen enough amateur videos where, like, that's the number one thing I see wrong is they almost go with a run-on sentence and they're not organized. And that video comes across as unorganized, right? So having the right script is key, and
Yes.
Which words are best used, right? I mean, there's almost, you go to, I use thesaurus.com when I do some writing, and what words fit this context, right? So talk to me about that, like using the right words. So with some past projects.
Yes, absolutely. So as a content creator myself, I mostly do for podcasts and the content for the intros and stuff like that, or for promos sometimes. Wording is essential. You cannot, even if you use thesaurus, or like for me, I love using Grammarly. But even if it brings up a suggestion on a specific word that means the same thing, doesn't mean it fits to the narrative. It has to connect. Every word needs to be proper to how you're talking, like the way that you're speaking, because everything has a certain cadence. If it doesn't meet that cadence when you're speaking, it's not going to work, and that's something that a lot of people don't realize too. When you're actually reading something, you have to understand your natural cadence when you're talking, when you're reading. And that's why when people send me content to read, a lot of the time I'm looking at them like, this is not going to work. It's not because the message isn't clear. It means that because the cadence, what I'm reading isn't natural, and it sounds like something more robotic, it's not going to connect, because people want to connect on a natural level, on an emotional level with one another, because that's what we are. We're social creatures. Cadence is a great big thing to that. And if the word is too big, too long, and it doesn't fit it, it's not going to work.
So how do people take it when you give them like, hey, I'm got the script, but what you're saying doesn't really it's not going to relate when it comes across in the video? Like, are people open or receptive, or are people more standoffish because they just spent a month or two putting together a script and now you just tore it apart?
I go to them, the way that I go to them is very simple. It's like, hey, this is a great message. Don't get me wrong. But when I'm talking to you like this, does it feel natural? When you're talking, when you're saying it out loud, it may look great on paper, but a lot of times when people create something, it's not until they start hearing themselves speak, or hear someone who does it professionally speak, they're like, oh, wait, no, I need to take that back.
Yeah.
Sometimes they take it back and they reword it, or I'll take it and I will look at it and I'll work it and I'll send it back to them saying, here's your message that you gave me, but here's it in a more natural tone that people are going to be able to understand better.
Yeah, I think people can appreciate that.
Yes.
So real quick, I'm going to go unscripted and put you on the spot. So we want to get some samples we haven't had a chance to sample any of your voices. So give me I'm going to do two things. I'm going to ask for your top two voices, and then I'm going to give you a situation of a business, a small business, and a voice or a pitch that you use for them. We'll put you on the spot. So give me your two greatest voices that have worked for you, or maybe not worked for you, but just that are near and dear to your heart, that like, oh, I love creating this character, this voice. Give us your two best ones right now.
Okay, so one that a lot of people have, for some reason, have always come to when it comes to me, is they want something more that sounds educational, that sounds very high class. And And I've done it. All it is just a posh accent. It's a variation to a mid-Atlantic accent from the 20s and the 50s. Big example of that is Vincent Price. The other one that I always love doing, and mostly just because I love messing with my son with it,
Right.
Especially when he tells me how old I am. I understand I may look a little bit older, but I'm not ancient. So I created this character a while back. His name is Drill Sergeant Rockwell. And he talks like this. He's very simple, very loud, but he's fun to deal with. And it's great. It's real great.
That's awesome. Little Hulk Hogan, I hear a little step into a Slim Jim action going on.
It's a little mixture. It's a little bit mixture of that. But I love doing it because I've known drill sergeants. And Joe, I'm pretty sure you've heard the drill sergeants like that when you go through basic training.
Yeah,
they
fitting how we
yelled
celebrate
so
Veterans
much.
Day. Yeah.
Yes. And it's one of those things. I have a buddy of mine who was a drill sergeant too when he served, and his voice is so gone because he's yelled so much, and he forgot sometimes when he got very passionate, and he would lose his voice, and that's how he would sound. So I love using that one sometimes. It's great. And then, of course, I really like using this one for my kiddies. They really like it for some reason.
Awesome.
The little Stitch versus Gremlin.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So we're going to play a little game. We're going to give you a business. We're going to create a situation for a business. And then I'm going to ask you for, a serious voice and then a kind of a lighthearted voice. So how about we'll go with that kind of more mature audience. So let's say like a estate attorney, probate attorney, right? So you want to do a pitch for them. You're voicing a video talking about wills. We're getting out of the COVID thing, but wills were important. What would you pitch, or what would it sound like for like a serious voice and maybe a lighthearted voice for the same client? Then I got another one for you.
Okay. Here's the other great thing that a lot of people don't really know about voice actors. That a lot of the times we use our own voice.
Yeah.
90% of the time we do our own voice. And it's the rest of the times where you create these other 20 voices that you're really well known for, you just really enjoy doing. For a lawyer doing wills, the posh accent works a little bit just because of the fact it's very knowledgeable. When people think of lawyers, they think of knowledge-based.
Right.
And a lot of times older people have a little bit more of a high class to them in a way. But if you want someone to connect with you on that, you want to make it more, how can I put it? Okay, you guys are literally seeing the way I think and the way
we like this. Yeah. So.
Okay, so the situation again: lawyer, wills, COVID-19. So we don't want to make him too posh. We don't want to bring him up here, but we want to give him that warmth and understanding of what he's doing. So when you talk, you're going to be talking very warmly, very floaty almost. So we want to talk to you about wills. Wills are very, very important, especially now. But if you don't have one, it's going to not end well for you, most likely.
So that's almost using more a deliberate cadence,
Right.
The sound, simpler words that are easy to understand, right?
Mm-hmm.
The last
because you
one,
want to connect with everybody.
right?
That's the thing.
So how about we'll go to our sponsor. How about a septic company, right? So a septic company, would you go more serious? Would you be, a little more fun? It's not the sexiest industry, but
I would go fun because of the fact that when you're dealing with a lot of crap, I'm telling you right now, you have to be fun with it and everything. So I always go to, I have friends who are very, they've been coal miners, so the working class, the blue collars, they love making fun of themselves. It's just a way to survive the insanity of dealing with people's crap. So I like to put something together just a little bit like this sometimes, just to make it a little more fun. That, and it's a lot easier for me to kick into just because I grew up with hillbillies. So
Right.
I got my country accent, let me tell you.
So before we sign off, Joe, can you give one more quick plug to our Valor Cares initiative, please?
Yep. So if you own a business and you don't have a website, or your website's outdated, or just you don't have control of your website, go to our website, askvalormasterminds.com. There's a page called Valor Cares. Click on it, learn a little bit more about the rules and how you can qualify, and just to submit your information.
Awesome. And Mack, we could go on forever. It was good to peel the curtain back and look at your process on the fly, just showing it's a real process. It's not easy, and connecting a brand with a voice does make it worth your while when you want to communicate that message and have people resonate with you. So, Joe, I really appreciate you joining us and being on. So,
yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And real quick, Galen, because we're Army, I would like to say, go Army, beat Navy.
There you go.
Hooah!
So, on behalf of our sponsor, Advanced Septic Service, my name's Galen.
I'm Joe.
Coming at you virtually from the BD local studios in Tacoma, Washington. Mack, thanks again for joining us.
Mack.
Yeah, the hammer not smashing us around. Thanks for watching this episode, guys, and see you next time. Thanks, everyone.